Good Sunday afternoon, friends. I welcome you all to Teatro Grattacielo and Camerata Bar, the Vocal Academy's Sunday afternoon podcasts with some very special guests. For whoever doesn't know me, I'm Stefanos Koroneos. I'm the Artistic and General Director of Teatro Grattacielo and Camerata Bar, the Vocal Academy in New York City. The two companies believe in bringing new perspectives to the opera world. When the pandemic hit, we were getting ready to start our live performances at the Gerald Lynch Theater and other New York locations who have housed us for the past 27 years. Once it was pretty clear that New York City would not have live performances for a while, we took the opportunity to learn, to innovate, and to turn our attention into finding ways to connect multi, I should say, media arts and filmography to our productions. We are still learning. I am still learning. And I'm loving every hour, every minute that I'm spending finding new ways to produce and to look into the future. I need to tell you a little story. I will never forget the moment that I found out that the 6,000 square feet space that we had booked to film FEDORA could house only 14 people. That was in September. I called our music director, Israel Gursky, in panic. What should we do? Reduced orchestra? Are we having a piano? Are we having the orchestra feeling themselves at home? What can we do? How can we take a handicap and turn it into a positive and elevating experience for all the opera lovers out there in the world? Of course, you will be the judge of it. This podcast today have as guests my dear Andrea DelGiudice, director extraordinaire that I have pretty much admired her creativity and her deep connection to storytelling. With us also, our Malena Dayen, director of FEDORA, who has a very photographic view of the world, and I love that. And I think it is safe to announce right now that she will be with us next year too. We are partnering and co-directing not one, but two shows. We shall keep, of course, some suspense about that, and we will make announcements pretty soon. Also with us, our everlasting Enzo Pizzimenti, our president of the board and president of Camerata Bar di Vocal Academy, a very big driving force behind everything that is happening with these two companies. Composer Jake Landau, I hope I'm saying that right, who wrote the beautiful score of Andrea's latest project, PIETA. Tenor Jordan Pitts, who was cast in both FEDORA and PIETA. Mezzo-soprano Devony Smith, who gave a very visual performance in PIETA, and her husband, Eric, who was also co-starring with her. And without further ado, I would like to start this beautiful Sunday afternoon with our president of the board, Enzo Pizzimenti. Hi, Enzo. Ciao.
Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for making this possible. Thank you, Stefanos, for your tremendous expertise that goes 360 degrees around music and around technology. I cannot describe you better than this. As far as singing, everybody knows you all over the world that you are a great singer and everything else. So you are it.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I can keep going, please. You know, I love compliments. So
I found out.
Please keep going. Listen, Ensucho, before I give word to our guests, one thing that I want you to say to everybody is why it is so important for opera companies to monetize.
Well, we are in a situation that is unique. Never before in history, opera and other arts have been challenged like 2020. This 2020 stopped the world, but we are moving on. We are continuing with a lot of weight on our shoulders, and without funds, it's a terrible situation. But the art is surviving. It's like you see in an ocean, you see a lot of swimmers. Those swimmers are the artists that love to sing, that love to paint. Art survives. It's part of our being. So it's important as small opera companies to reach out and ask for help, because the big companies, they have no problem getting funds, they are organized. But in order to survive, the small opera companies, they need funds. And we could not do without the help from other people. We need that. The main reason that we need, because we like to support the singers, we like to support the arts, and we are the medium between the arts and the people. Between the arts and the people, that is us. We try to bring music to every house in the world. If we could, we would, just tell everybody, and everybody will join us, and tell everybody to help us with small donations, because we understand these tough times.
Right.
And we need that. We need that to not only us, all the other companies, small companies. Exactly. We really fighting here for our lives, for the future of culture, for the future of art and music and opera.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You took the words out of my mouth, and Sucho, it is because like this. Every company needs help. Every company needs to monetize. And thank you for reminding us this important aspect of every opera company in the world. It is with a very great excitement that I would like to start with presentations and with our guests. But before I bring in my first guest, which is Andrea, I would like to start with a small snippet, a small part of your beautiful new project, PIETA.
The Ospedale della Pietà was an orphanage and asylum for bastard children who were abandoned on the streets of 1700s Venice, which at the time was a city that was like full of prostitutes. So there were all these sort of unwanted children left on the streets until the Pietà was opened. The most remarkable thing about the Pietà is that in addition to taking in all these girls, they taught them music, how to play every instrument, how to sing, to the point where these girls became the premier orchestra of Europe. Because many of the girls were physically disfigured, they were abandoned in the street, they might have diseases or they might have some sort of mental illness, they always performed behind a lattice. That image was just so stunning to me that I had to write a opera about it. The central character of Pietà is sort of struggling throughout the show to figure out what she can turn to. She tries to turn to her own talent, she tries to turn to God, and it is eventually revealed that that character is of course the Principessa from Suor Angelica. Both operas are to a certain extent about the institutionalization of women.
The inspiration for Suor Angelica, I discovered a true story about basically a workhouse in Toon, Galway, Ireland. Pregnant, unwed mothers were basically imprisoned to have their babies in this institution. And after the babies were delivered, they were separated from their mothers. When we come into the opera of Suor Angelica, all of the young women are pregnant. Suor Angelica, who had had a baby years before, she's still in this institution. The visit from the Principessa, which is traditionally in the opera, is of course from the character from Pietà. I was so excited to piece this together with Jake and tell, again, the true story of women.
And here we are. Hello, Andrea.
Hello. Oh, thank you. I never get tired of seeing that because then it reminds me of the beautiful project and how important this was to to women all over the world. And first, let me say congratulations to you, to Enzo, to Malena. The FEDORA is stunning, just stunning. And of course, one of my favorite operas. As a soprano myself, I love music, and just gorgeous. And I feel so fortunate that we can be here today, Jake and Devony and Jordan and Eric, all of us here together to talk about exactly what the focus is, which is how do we bring our art form, how do we bring these beautiful projects, both musically and I think humanistically, to audiences all over the world. And it has changed. 2020 has definitely taken a toll, but also given us the opportunity to create in a different way and combine both the live form with these video projects or a film-like focus on them. So thank you so much for inviting us to the conversation.
Absolutely. And you said something that it's very dear to me. And it's exactly, how do you take a situation that is uncomfortable or difficult and you turn it into something creative? And talking about creativity, can you walk us through a little bit of how you directed your process of directing PIETA?
Sure. So we initially, when I approached Jake, back at the beginning of 2020, about constructing a double bill, I had, as you just saw in the video, I'm glad you saw it first, is that I found, and all of my productions are based in history, they're based in truth, they're based in telling the real story from the perspective of the women. And so when I discovered this place in Galway, this workhouse in 1945, I thought about it and I thought, wow, what if we told the backstory of the Principessa and put this as sort of, allied it into the story and how this transforms. So as I approached Jake, and Jake is a genius composer from Juilliard initially, and a friend of my daughter's who was at Juilliard, and that's how we met. And in speaking about it, he was very excited. He found the Pietà Institute. I had this Casa Santa Maria, or this place in Galway, and we said let's merge them, put them in the same city. So to direct this, of course, we initially intended it to be staged in Narni, Italy, this past summer. Unfortunately, as everybody has, it was canceled. So we said let's still do the project. So I said, what about like a film version of a reading, because nobody had heard the music before, it's brand new. So we decided to do a reading reinvented, which reinvented is my middle name, actually. So this all really developed, step by step, casting what I would consider the most brilliant possible casting that we could have had in the production. And Jake's friend, Jacob Maximilian Baron, our videographer, who's this kind of young 20 wunderkind, and we all just got together and I said, let's really respect the COVID rules and distancing, but use the videography to develop the relationships between the characters, facial expressions, and tell the story of the relationships between these characters, which is so vital.
Wonderful. Yes, I mean, what can I say? First of all, congratulations, because I haven't seen the whole thing, but whatever I have seen is incredibly exciting. And I know your work from the past, and I admire your creativity. And exactly that's what it is about. Because when you have to deal with any kind of difficulties or any kind of situations where you have to come up with something, it is people like you and maybe a little bit like us that we step out there and we make it work. And I will move on, but stay there because I want to talk to you again. Okay.
Thank you.
So before my next guest is our director, the director of FEDORA, Malena Dayen. But I'm going to change a little bit the order. And before I bring her in, I want to show you a little snippet of what we did with FEDORA. Please enjoy, and then we will talk to Malena. This is, by the way, what you're going to hear is our soprano Michelle Johnson, who sang the title role. So before I bring in Malena, I would like to point out that it was very important to me as a newly appointed artistic director of the company to stay true to the company's mission, which is live performances. What you have seen right now in this snippet was filmed live. There is no studio recording. We went there with cameras, with 4 cameras and a sound engineer, of course, and we filmed the opera live. And without further ado, here is
Malena.
Ciao.
Ciao. Brava, Michelle. Every time I hear her again, it's just so exciting.
I know. It's just, what can I say? I love her, and so I'm happy that we had her. I'm happy that we had all of the other people in the cast.
Absolutely, an amazing cast.
In fact, in this snippet, you can see Rubin Casas.
Yes.
You can see Eugenia Forteza. You can see
Marcelo. You can see almost everybody at first act.
Yes.
Except for our Loris.
Of course.
Our Maria Brea.
Exactly. So, Malena, what I would like to ask you today is what is the difference, according to your view, between directing live theater and directing for camera?
Look, the simplest answer would be that as a director, you're thinking of the experience of the audience, right? So when we are live, we are thinking, what is the experience of the people coming in, sitting in the theater? When we are thinking now in a screen, we're thinking, right, they will be hearing with their headphones or with the little speakers, and you know, we have just a different tech expectations. You and me are trained without thinking of sound, because you know, I went through all my education as a classical singer without ever thinking of a microphone. That was out of the question. But on a deeper sense and a more creative sense, the work I did just this year, even including just with Grattacielo, the 2 productions we worked on, Mefistofele and FEDORA, are completely different. And both are digital in a sense, but FEDORA was done, we just videoed a live performance. With Mefistofele, we did a lot of post-production, both in image, in sound. We had a singer in Italy and appeared him in the video. I did a production this year, and even yesterday, a performance as part of a festival with the new museum, in which people were in a VR space. The audience was actually in the space, walking around the space. And I was singing live from my living room with a video that interacted live. So all of that, from FEDORA to the crazy VR experience, all of that is digital performance. And it's a very different concept, and it's just very exciting that we have now all those tools developing, and that opera is alive in all of those settings. I think it's just thrilling, like just the way that opera adapted to electricity, opera adapted to CD players, opera adapted to Spotify, and now here we are digitalizing opera, and it's just so exciting, because we keep the tradition alive, and the same, we also have the opportunity to illuminate other things that we didn't see before.
Absolutely. And you said something that I remember you and me having lots of conversations about that, and it's so exciting. A piece that was written 200 years ago, 150, that lives throughout a new tool that many other people use normally within their normal lives. It's incredible. It is exciting. It is something new.
Absolutely.
Malenucha, don't go anywhere.
No, I'm here. I want to see everybody.
Absolutely. And I will be bringing in my next guest, who is composer Jake Landau. And hello, Jake.
Hi, Stefanos. Grazie for having me. How's it going?
Jake, first of all, are you in New York?
No, I'm actually in Connecticut right now.
Connecticut.
Yeah, just to escape the pandemic for a bit. But I'm mostly living full-time in New York, yeah.
Fantastic. So you are the author of Andrea's latest production, PIETA. And I would like us, first of all, I would like you to walk us through the composition of this specific piece.
Sure. So it's something of particular interest to me as a composer is tracing or thinking of opera as sort of historical musical theater and drawing that connection between what is, contemporary commercial theater and opera, which of course exist on two very different financial systems these days. And, there's a completely different style of singing and there's so much that's different about them. But I find in the composition itself, you talked about writing things down on paper. I also handwrite things. So I find there's this like very real connection, at least in the abstract, between opera and musical theater. So like PIETA, for example, and makes use of a lot of contemporary musical theater techniques that have not really been heard in opera before, like belting, for example. We're going to talk to Devony, who's here, who, for those who've seen PIETA, know that she like belts her butt off at the end of this aria. That's actually in the clip later. You'll hear it. But there's just, for me, that connection is really important. So PIETA compositionally is very much is an opera, but pulls a lot from my own experience and interest in contemporary musical theater as well.
You are getting me started and very excited from what you're telling me, because I had never had the pleasure to meet you personally. But I must tell you that what I just heard from you is pretty exciting, and it is. We all talk about how do we bring opera to the new century, to how do we bring it to new people, how do we update it, how do we make it accessible to who thinks that opera is for the 80-year-old or the 70-year-old people who will go at the Met, etc. And here we are. There it is, a new generation of composers like you, like yourself, and of producers like us, that we are doing exactly that. We are bringing into the opera into everybody's house screen, or into, hopefully very, very soon again, into the theater. And talking about that, I would like to bring in also Andrea. Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
And you guys, let's start with Andrea. So I would like you to talk us through the process of building this project, this production.
I love what Malena said and how this is sort of connecting into each other. I also think that even in live theater, whether you are producing a production in a large stage setting with a set builder and a 3-tiered set, or which I had the opportunity to do, and then had to take a production to Italy in a theater that was built in 1845, I did not have that. I had to visualize how would I combine both the live stage and digitalization or videography, video mapping, and bring this to a real point. So first you start with the story. First you start with the project and the story in the project, whether it's, Traviata, Carmen, or a project like this where it's a new opera, but the story is connected. I just really think it's so important in the telling of the story for me, and in Jake's writing, and this is what I loved about the collaboration, is that we really did paint the stories of these characters. And when it's produced as a double bill and you bring it into Suor Angelica, Jake and I both said we expect the audience to be on the floor sobbing, and nobody will be awake at the end of the show, because it's just so amazingly important for me and for, I think, the world to tell a woman's true story. And you will see that, in particularly in the combination whenever we can produce it live. But in the meantime, if I have to do both digitally, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Absolutely. Jake?
Totally. Andrea and I, we worked together so much on this. We saw each other every day for like months on months.
Yes.
And this was Pieta was originally written for the Narnia Festival in Italy, who's premiering it next summer. And so this decision to do a filmed sort of reading plus in New York was really Andrea's fantastic idea, and I was just happy to contribute some music. And the story we worked on together is really, really, really fascinating. I mean, for those who know the opera Suor Angelica, that scene between the Principessa and Angelica herself is so supercharged, and it's never really explained why. And so, why does she come in with a cane, for example, all these little details. And so it was a real joy to work with Andrea in figuring out how to make that scene even more powerful when it comes around by revealing certain things about La Principessa herself.
In the opera Suor Angelica, my favorite scene is the Zia Principessa scene. When she comes in, I think it's one of the most genius scenes that Puccini has ever written. And it was with a certain interest. It is with a certain interest that I'm looking forward to see the whole production, because I know a little bit about your story, the backstory, and it connects a little bit also to my personal story, but I will not go there today. But it is exciting. It is exciting. Congratulations, guys. Given that we're talking about Pieta, let's go and play another snippet from your production. Enjoy.
Colorful stained glass, we are lower than the waters, greener than grass, and the light is flowing through us, giving bliss and comfort to us, and I swear that I will make this come to pass. I will not let this be imprisoned by angel, stole the child she bore. I've made horrible choice after horrible choice, and what did I do it all for? For shame, oh, for shame,
Ladies and gentlemen, incredible. I'm in love. Okay? I said that. I'm in love. And that incredible belting came from mezzo-soprano Devony Smith, which I'm going to bring on the screen with her husband, Eric Van, help me out, guys.
Van Hennigan.
Hannigan. Okay, so it's okay, fantastic. Hi, guys.
Hi, Stefanos.
Hi. You guys are in, first of all, before I go to where you are, Devony, I knew you as a soprano. I'm so happy that you're a mezzo.
Yes.
Congratulations. Amazing.
Best decision ever, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you guys are in Vienna, is that true?
Yes. Yes.
Can you share with us why?
What was that?
Can you share with us why you are in Vienna?
Yes. Eric has a position at Wiener Staatsoper. So we moved about 2 months ago here, although we're currently in lockdown. So navigating all of that, but the opera is still rolling along in a way.
Are you guys having rehearsals there, Eric? Are you still having rehearsals?
We're actually doing a fully streamed program this month. So we're still rehearsing full time, and we're streaming everything this week from the stage.
Fantastic. Toi, Eric. I will go to Devony, and before we start talking a little bit about your role, it is something that has always fascinated me, and I would like to ask you too. What made you wake up one day and say, I'm going to become an opera singer?
Well, for me, I think it was kind of gradual. I grew up, my parents were both ministers, and I grew up playing piano and singing in church. So my mom is a musician and was the head musician. So I was like her right hand as a young kid and a teenager. And then I went to college and sort of discovered I wanted to study singing in college. I didn't really know what that meant. And I kind of fell in love with opera and lieder when I went to college. And then for my master's degree, I went to Bard, upstate New York. It was Dawn Upshaw's program at the time. And she really ushered me into the whole world of like opera and new music and lieder, and brought me to New York, which was a really important part of my journey, where I met Andrea, and she has been a life-changing person for me in the city and for my voice. So that's kind of my short story of my journey. But
fantastic. And can you a little bit tell us about your role in PIETA, and then Eric, you too, please.
Yeah, so Edita, I first of all adore playing roles like this that are not necessarily love interest roles. This woman is, we in the show were married, but very
we had to dig deep for that.
I see.
Unfortunately, in the show we are not a happy couple. The whole show is kind of built around the betrayal of Eric's character, and how I had dealt with that as a woman who couldn't talk about what had happened to her through the whole show. So it was years of just sort of pent up guilt and shame, as my aria screams there at the end, about the events of our marriage and the things that had brought, the ugly things that had brought me to do. So Edita is a complicated character. She's not the villain of this show, I wouldn't say. Maybe some people would, but she's done some pretty horrible things, and she has to deal with that very transparently and openly in the sort of hour of this piece. So it was a very intense experience, sort of, for me. I feel like I didn't get all the layers of it until the week we performed it, and I still have more to sort of explore, but I loved the role. It was different than anything that I usually do.
Fantastic. Eric?
Well, I think, we're living in a time where we see so many men who just live to have power over other people. And you can point at all the sorts of things that Ugo does, both to Edita and to the other characters in the show. But I think at the core of it, Ugo is a very weak man with a lot of power over everybody around him. Because of course he's the patriarch, he has all this money, and as is central to the show, he takes what he wants and he does what he wants, regardless of who that might harm.
So within the show, let me understand, you are overpowering her, and you are one who causes her struggle and the sadness.
Yeah, I think this. I mean, as I happen to be very Edita sympathetic,
Right.
and I think the central sin of the show lies on Ugo's shoulders, and everything that Edita might do later. To me, she's very obviously pushed by him and what he does to her.
Wow, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see that. Thank you so guys for connecting with us. Stay with us. We will bring you in on screen. I was going to say on the stage, but what stage? On the screen. A little bit later. Thank you. And it is with a very with lots of excitement, or joy of joys, or rapture of raptures, that I will be presenting you a tenor who was in both these productions. His name is Jordan Pitts, Weatherstone Pitts. He is a fixture in a lot of productions in New York City, and not only. And he has the incredible capacity to always deliver. I heard him first time last year when we had our 25th anniversary. He came on the stage. He had a small role. He delivered that role incredibly well. And obviously, I wanted him back this year as Rouvel in FEDORA. And Jordan is right here. Hey, Jordan.
Hi, Stefanos. My love, it's good to see you.
Good to see you too. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well. Here in Harlem.
You are in Harlem. I was going to ask, are you upstate or you are in?
I'm in Harlem. Yeah, I've moved here in March actually, so I've been here pretty much the whole pandemic time. It's great. I love it.
Fantastic. You know, you are one of those singers that because I follow you and I know what you're doing, that you have been actually pretty busy within the pandemic.
Yeah.
And that, first of all, to me, says a lot about your integrity as a singer, the fact that you can deliver and that people want to work with you. That's number one.
Thank you, Stefanos. I appreciate that.
Number two, I would like you to share with us your experience with one opera, with FEDORA, and your experience with PIETA. You can start with whatever opera you want.
Yeah, well, I both were, wonderful experiences. I mean, both with colleagues and just as stories to put on stage, to put on camera at this point. PIETA was, my first ever filmed anything. I had never put any kind of, my singing. I did one sort of small thing a couple years ago, but it was never, like a full opera on camera. Mm-hmm. And I really loved it. I loved the role of Giorgio. From a vocal standpoint, from a character, and also the work that Jake and Andrea put together is just incredible. And everybody else. And then FEDORA, yeah, I mean, I was so happy to work with Grattacielo again. And it was just so it was so epic and so grand, I was walking into that space and I felt very safe as well. You guys really did a lot of hard work in making sure that everybody felt safe in, regards to their health and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And I loved the experience so much. It was brief, but I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Oh, there is nothing brief about your opinion, your roles, because you, and I will say that again, you have that capacity to capture every scene that you are in. And I love that so much.
Thank you, Stefanos. I appreciate that. I do.
Thank you for being with us. Don't go anywhere. I will bring you in again.
Yes.
In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, we have all talked about so much about women's creativity within the opera world, and how can women can reimagine, and how can women can have a strong word and a strong vision in behind the scenes. I'm about to share with you two snippets. One is from Andrea DelGiudice's work as a director, and the other one is from our director Malena Dayen. Both of them are two very different styles, very different works, but speak volumes, according to my opinion, of course, of their work and of their creativity. And we will start with Opera Reimagined, Andrea DelGiudice.
My first production, La Traviata by Verdi, I decided to depart from the original setting in 19th century Paris, and I drew my inspiration from the novel The Lady of the Camellias, and I intertwined Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar. This gave me the opportunity to tell Violetta's journey in modern-day New York City, depicting her character as who she truly was. Her goal in life was to live a normal life, in a life of mutual respect. We saw Violetta ripped of her hope of acceptance and a happy life. However, we also saw her rising in the face of male dominance, thus breaking her imprisonment in the bell jar. Last season's 2019 production was Bizet's Carmen. I set the opera in New York City in the early 1970s, just at the end of the Vietnam War. Many of our soldiers were returning with PTSD in an economy that was suffering from mass recession, and drug addiction was on the rise. I based the character of Carmen on the true story of Colombian drug lord Griselda Blanco. She was 17 years old and crossed the border of Colombia into the United States. She was a very, very brutal, powerful woman who I didn't really care that people liked. It isn't about that. It was about who she truly was.
Secondly, a trailer, that, let's say, from our very first production that we worked with Malena, Mephistopheles Boito. Boito's Mephistopheles. I'm going crazy. So this is the time of the day that I'm going to bring in both of the ladies.
Hi, Andrea.
So, ladies, women in the opera world. Let's talk about it. Who wants to start?
Andrea.
Oh, Malena, thanks a lot. Okay, whatever. Too much anyway. Okay. Well, wow. First of all, Malena, what a gorgeous.
Same.
Wow.
So interesting.
Wow. I mean, we as women, that is, I think, one of the most beautiful things is that I believe we do encourage each other. I believe we do inspire each other. And I think that's such an important part of what we're trying to do. I mean, I know you were a singer. I am too. And this came to this place where I've done so many of these roles and said, God, I'm so sick of the men making us victims. I thought maybe there's a different way I can tell this. In the clip that Stefanos just played, that was kind of a mixture of my Traviata, my Carmen, both here in New York on a set with a big, stage with a big set, and then adapted even digitally in some cases in terms of the video mapping of what I had to do in Italy, in Nardi, again in a smaller theater where you can't really nail things to the floor so much. So I feel so grateful, and I was a little scared in Italy to be presenting modern takes on this, always respectful completely of the music, never touched it in original language. But I was, I'm pushing and pulling on the character saying, let's see how a 16-year-old feels about this. And I mean, much to my surprise, in Italy, I had like this fan club of 15, 16-year-olds who would come to the opera every night. And they're like, well, why did that happen? What's going to happen? And it was such what a breath of fresh air to say, wow, in a country that you would consider traditional, so open to these retellings of the story so that they felt connected to the people, to the characters, to what happens in life. Sylvia Plath, the bell jar, Comedias. I mean, this was really, really basically so that you understand it. Traviata, Violetta had schizophrenia and was in the hospital in New York City. And that's how it began the story, something much more tangible to what I think where we can talk about these days in terms of maladies, but where does her strength lie? And in the terms of Carmen and Griselda Blanco, not a nice lady, but was the mentor to Pablo Escobar. He died at 35. She lived till she was 63. Who's the smarter one? Just saying, right? So, I mean, retelling these stories has been just thrilling and just opened my heart, and hopefully is bringing more women, more of us, more of our stories, more of the truth and the background to who these women are and the strength in this country. God knows we need it thank God that I'm not going to talk politics, but so happy about 2021 and forward. That's all I can say. Yes.
Don't we all?
Yes.
Malenuccia?
Look, I've never been a man. So I don't have a parameter to compare how is the experience of being a male director. I'm a new director, and I do notice it's true that we do live in a society that is misogynistic, that is racist, that is homophobic. It's true. I don't want to say it's not there. It's there. I think we're in a great moment in which things are moving forward, that institutions, we as a society are opening our eyes to the microaggressions, to the institutions, institutional violence, let's say. And I think, I have seen during my life consistent progress. And I want to. I'm happy to be in the moving things forward as well. But it's true. It is a challenge. It's an extra challenge. Being a singer, I didn't have the experience that I have now being backstage. It's true. It's a male dominated field, and and it's a challenge being a woman, just like being of color, or I mean, it are things that represent an extra challenge. But I'm happy to carry the voice. I'm just thrilled to see Andrea's work, and I'm, you know, this is the thing that moves things forward. So yeah. I'm sorry, it's not a super optimistic answer, but it's yeah.
It's your answer, and if I may add, I'm so happy for both of you ladies, and you know, and I feel so connected to whatever you have said, because okay, I'm not a woman, but I'm a gay man who has experienced
Correct.
a lot of violence of every kind since the beginning of my existence. So I know what it means. I deeply connect to what it means not being able to express yourself because people think that you are second or third or fourth rate.
Correct.
I can tell you that I love everything that you did, and I personally pledge to both of you that I love you. You have been my friend for such a long time, to do everything I can to showcase you, you and your work in the future.
Absolutely. So let me say that I'm so lucky with the people I'm working with. That is. It was not included in what I just said before. I have been so lucky, and I'm working with people that are really not only have the heart in the right place, but that are making decisions to change the world at the time of casting and at the time of programming, at the, you know, that put their actions where their words are. You first in the list, Stefanos, but it's really, I'm surrounded with great people.
Thank you, Andrea.
I'd like to also, I just want to come in also a shout out to the amazing men who I'm working with, both in PIETA. I have Jake Landau, I had Eric, I had Jordan. I had these incredible men who encompass these characters. As Eric said, he's an Edita fan. You know, he's part of this. And I have a team in Italy, Yuri Napoli, who's an actor and a director, and Giulio Ferro, who's a videographer on the Rai. They love these projects. They love the stories. They want the retelling. So I'm not against men, that's for sure, right? I mean, it's just really what Malena said is, you know, kind of spreading this love and this way in which to tell the stories. We want men part of it, both in the operas and in the process. That's what I think is going to change the world. I do.
Thank you so much, ladies, and stay with me. I will go and just play a second little snippet from FEDORA, because we talked about men, and hello, there's no opera without a tenor.
Yes.
Is Loris in FEDORA. May I say that this role sounds like it was written for him. Okay, this was Jeremy Browner, tenor in FEDORA, and when I grow up, I would like to sound like him. I would, before I bring everybody on the screen, I would like to bring in again my very dear Enzo Pizzimenti for some final thoughts. Enzuccio, the stage is yours.
What can I say? I'm surrounded by artists. That's the love of my life: art, music, opera, singing. I'm so happy in this chapter of my life where I can enjoy what I'm doing. You know, I have business all my life. Yeah, I enjoy my business, but this is great. And working with you, it's a supreme pleasure. Even if you wake me up, even at 4 o'clock in the morning when I'm up already, you try to wake me up.
Okay, 4 o'clock. That's nothing.
Oh, we talk until 11 o'clock at night. We all day we are on the phone, and it's a beautiful experience. It's love. It's no work. This is love. I'm so happy.
Absolutely.
I'm going to live much longer to enjoy more what I'm doing. This being all these artists, all these great artists here. To me, heaven.
And Sucho, and we love you for that. We need people like you. We need people who are excited to be with us. And I want to say one more time publicly to everybody who is listening to you. First of all, I love the white on you. Okay, you look great. And secondly, thank you for all the wonderful energy that you have put into bringing Grattacielo and Camerata Bardi to the next step. And I would like at this point to bring everybody on the stage for a final goodbye or good night, or not goodbye, let's say goodbye. It sounds bad. Thank you all for being with us. Thank you. You are all amazing.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. I wish everybody a very good night. And please check out Andrea DelGiudice's website, Jake Landau's website, and our website, where you can find a lot of information about all these projects and about what we talked today. Good night, everybody. Ciao.
Thank you.
Ciao.